Hello, everyone. My name is Lara, and I'll be there as a tech support during this tutorial. I want to introduce you to your tutor today, Thiago Felipe Avanci. He's a researcher, a professor, and lawyer at Nastri and Avanci, and he will hold some implications for the use of Gen AI in course tutorial. Enjoy.
Thanks so much. I'm so very happy to be among you. Thanks so much for having me. I'm here from Brazil, and I'm developing my research on artificial intelligence and generative artificial intelligence and its connection with in special applications of within courts. And in my keynote today, I would like to share some general thoughts about the possible problems or potential issues of the use of artificial intelligence and special generative artificial intelligence in courts, in decision-making process of a judge in a court. Okay. Well, for first of all, it's very important for us to have a general idea what is going on with artificial intelligence. What is artificial intelligence? There is some different approaches about the topic, about how can we understand what is artificial intelligence, but we can state for sure that artificial intelligence is a kind of technology, a kind of program, a kind of computer program, a kind of application based that can be classified in two different groups, at least according to some special criteria. Okay, there are different approaches of this classification, but I usually try to use this particular classification that I'm going to share just right now. Okay, the first kind of artificial intelligence, it's can be classified as good old-fashioned artificial intelligence, and it was developed on earlier years of 1980 or so, and this particular group of artificial intelligence, this particular kind of artificial intelligence, it's not very much using the very state of art that we are having here today. Good old-fashioned artificial intelligence is basically supported by decision-making trees and programming all the decisions according to a specific answer. So the user tries to put some information or put something or develop some action, and the generative artificial, the good old-fashioned artificial intelligence responds to that particular action from the user. Okay, this is how this particular kind of generative artificial intelligence. It's very common in games, and since I mentioned 1980s, and still very used today. And the big deal with this kind of good old-fashioned artificial intelligence is that we must do all by programming. We programmer should carry all the weight through the programming process. Okay, this is difficult to try to predict all the actions from the user. And with this in mind, we can classify the second group, the second kind of artificial intelligence, and into machine learning kind of artificial intelligence. And this is particularly more interesting than the first group, at least nowadays, due to the fact that today we have more computer capability, a more profound computer capability that is able to develop some calculations calculations and to deal with a huge data set that I'm going to explain just right now. Machine learning, kind of artificial intelligence, deals particularly with, I mentioned, databases and extracting information and reading and extracting information through these particular databases. This kind of artificial intelligence is able to manage its process. Okay, it reads, it develops from huge big data, as you all aware of this terminology. Okay, well, this machine learning, as you can imagine, is not heavily dependent on the programming as good old-fashioned artificial intelligence, at least not in the same sense. Machine learning uses algorithm to develop its program, to develop its actions. And that's a huge development from this particular kind of tool, this particular kind of technology, because there is not necessarily a list of predicted actions from the user, predicted interactions from the user, so the machine be responsive. No, with machine learning, it's possible to understand what is the user generally are doing by using a statistic tool, an algorithm, and a statistical tool, as I just mentioned. So we do not need to anymore to list all the actions as it was on the good old-fashioned artificial intelligence. It's a huge lab comparison with old-fashioned artificial intelligence indeed. Okay. The problem here, as I just mentioned, is that for machine learning to be effective, it must gain access to, I just mentioned, a great number of data. And this great number of data will guarantee the accuracy of the response from this kind of function. And when we are dealing with generative artificial intelligence, we are dealing with a step beyond this machine learning tool. It's a kind of a machine learning tool, okay? But we are dealing with a step beyond, because we are just right now dealing with a capability that perhaps can be encapsulated into deep learning, okay, ramification from the machine learning branch of machine learning. And I just want to uh, have a brief note here. All those kind of classifications of artificial intelligence is very, very debatable. So if you are researching on this just right now, be aware of this difficulty. There are a huge number of ways to classify artificial intelligence, classifying kinds and types, situations associated with artificial intelligence. Indeed, there is a huge difficulty to state the concept of artificial intelligence.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can we try with headphones? Because the sound just got worse now.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's not a problem.
Okay, let me see if my Bluetooth is. Is my sound? It sounds better now.
Yeah, I think it's better. Thank you.
Okay, let's moving on. Thanks so much for the insight. And moving on. And I was just saying that I'm sorry, I lost my thought here. I was stating that there is some difficulty to develop a concept of our
in general artificial intelligence. I have a good friend from France, Professor Dr. Emmanuel Lupi. I guess he's a speaker also in this conference, and he states that artificial intelligence is kind of an identified technological object, just paraphrasing UFO. And this is, I guess, the better idea of what is we are dealing, what we are dealing this right now. Some technological object that is very hard to define. This note was important for us, for you all, my friends, to get the fact that we are in the state of art here in programming. It is very difficult yet to put all the pieces of the puzzle together in terms of classification and the proper method of understand the problem. Okay. Well, as I just mentioned, moving on to the general idea, as I just mentioned, when we are talking about generative artificial intelligence, we can see it as a ramification, a branch of machine learning, a branch of deep learning, and generative artificial intelligence will use the algorithm, but it will use the algorithm to, as the name suggests, generate insights as asked by the user. Okay, so we can state that the general idea of generative artificial intelligence is the kind of artificial intelligence, a kind of programming, computer application, um, that relies on a huge data set, a huge databases to generate insights from the provocation, from the input, from the user, proposed from the user. This is, I guess, the crude idea of what is generative artificial intelligence. And I'm so sorry if I'm being shallow here, but the idea is that we share some general information here and all the process in which the generative artificial intelligence is based on. It's kind of complex, as you can imagine, and it evolves to understand what the user are trying to um, demand on the question, on the prompt, on the input, to convert this into a numerical expression. So the machine will look for a similar pattern on its databases, converting the databases and also numeric expression, and try to compare those numeric expressions that it's on the data set and that one on the provided by the input from the user. And through this comparison, the generative artificial intelligence is able to provide some answer. It's not magic, but it's a kind of paste and cut work of the application. And I will go on this particular topic in a couple of minutes. This keep this in your mind because this paste, copy and paste process is very important for us all to understand some implications of the use of the artificial intelligence in ports and in all the sectors indeed. Okay. Well, so far so good. I guess by this moment, at least, I hope you have an idea of if you don't would not have yet a general idea of what what is what we are dealing with in general terms of artificial intelligence. So moving on, let's try to understand what's the problem and why should we care if we are using artificial intelligence in decision-making process of the courts, in decision-making process of any kind of public sector at all. I can state this. The thing is, my friends, as you can imagine, when we are talking about decision making, we are especially trying to see that when a judge states some decisions, the decisions are connected to a method of application of law. Okay, all the countries across the globe have a particular way to develop its um, its way to understand the science of law, and this method can be and it is indeed different in all countries. There is a huge difference between the American common law system, British common law system, American realistic system, and for instance, Brazilian positivism or post-positivism system, in which is also the current main system established in Europe in general, at least in the main Europe. I mean, Portugal, Spain, Italy, Germany, France. All those systems are positivism or based on positivism or post-positivism system. For exclusion, there is some realism in Scandinavia, but in general, the main Europe is based on positivism and post-positivism. Okay, and this is very important, connecting the topic of law and technologies. Due to the fact when the judge is trying to state a final decision or any decision in the courts, the judge is heavily applying the law. The law exists, then the judge tries to take this particular cases and apply the already existing law to solve that particular case. Okay, this is a typification or subsumption explanation of law. Okay, so when the judge is doing this process, this is not a very mechanical process. It's not a simply way to see that that cases go that particular law, that other case, that particular situation, we should apply that particular law. It's not that anymore, at least in the past, I guess, 80 years or so, since probably the Second Great War. The Great War was a division to divisor, I'm sorry, to understand how can we solve some legal implications and to try to solve some particular cases to the atrocities committed, especially in the Nazi regime, and it was seen as a, a red light by all means to everyone on the planet. And the red light is due to the fact that the Germans was heavily supported by a pure positivist system, relying exclusively on law to reinforce their action. So their actions, in legal terms, were legally, but they're not at all human. They're not at all ethical. They're not at all. I cannot express the correct words for this, and please do your imagination. The thing is, due to these atrocities committed by the Nazi regime, the whole tries to put some value, some axiological value to the interpretation of law. And even the positivism was contaminated goodly, in a good sense, contaminated with these axiological values. And probably due this, the post-positivism emerges. Uh, of course, there are other factors, but this is one of the main factors that we are trying to share with you. The thing is, my friends, if um, the judge is not anymore, um, quote unquote, a machine that will solo apply the law blindly, he now, the judge, will also be able to interpret the law, will also be able to put some values, axiological values on the interpretations. And this norm, this kind of normative is called principles. Okay, the rules are more restricted and the principles are more open and more friendly to values. The judge will also be providing some of his own um, values into the decision making process. It turns a little bit more subjective. Yes, it turns, but I guess as it should be. And probably we saw some of the consequences of putting singularly the applications of a law, some rules, law kind of rules, into applying solo on this kinds of situation, as I just mentioned, as it happened in the Nagy regime. Okay, well, I guess you are all clever persons, and you are all understanding where I'm going here with. How, why should we care if a machine, an algorithm tool, a generative artificial intelligence tool would be judging my case, would be deciding my life in a court case, in a court suit? Probably do this the very first reason. This reason that the machine will not be able to interpret properly principles, at least not as far as I can see in the current state of art. The machine learning tool, the algorithm tool, even, or the generative, the state of art artificial intelligence generative tool based on LLMs models are not able yet to provide some proper interpretations of these particular values that can be associated to a case. And I say this due to the fact that machines cannot, in the obvious here, machines cannot have a proper emotional response, human response, human factor response. And this human factor response is it is very important in the decision making process, in special in the decision making process of the suits that the cases that are heavily implying on the principles applications in general. Okay, so we have here I guess, yellow flag that must be seen as this. And I guess the problematic in general, you all could see how the machine learning, or I mean, the generative artificial intelligence tool will provide a proper decision, but would be that decision the decision expected by the society. Quote, so there is a question here. I don't know, my friends. I don't know because when the machine interpret the text to extract the idea and to formulate the decision, for instance, the machine would not be able, as I just mentioned, to interpret properly the principles. The machine would naturally transform the text available on its data set and convert it on a numeric expression. We would rely exclusively on a statistical tool, an algorithm, and a statistical tool. For you all, my friends, that are not obligated to understand what is an algorithm and why we call it as a statistical tool, when we are dealing with statistics, we are dealing with a margin of error. Okay, it's natural from statistics. It's very, it has a very high accuracy. Of course, it does, but yet there is a margin of error. When you search for something in Google, for instance, the Google has a high accuracy response to your input, but yet it fails at some point. Do we want this kind of problem in our judiciary system? I am here not providing the answer. I'm here trying to share with you some doubts, some preoccupation. As you don't know me, I guess, and I don't believe you do, but I do believe you don't know me. Sorry. I am an enthusiast of technologies, but I am also um, want to provide some doubts in the use of these new technologies. And now, for now, you now are probably thinking, why, Thiago? Why should we be preoccupied? Is this something the event of happening in a couple of months, weeks? Is it happening across the globe? I'm sorry to answer. Yes, it has been happened at least here in Brazil at some point, and I have noticed of some cases of use of generative artificial intelligence in decision making already in some other countries. We are sharing some information that from a particular tool in, I mean here, the, the, this technology became popular with open AI. I'm so sorry for this. And we are here sharing some information that became popular with OpenAI chatbot in November last year. 1 year from now, from this date, just right now, a year ago, we did not know that this kind of technology existed, and we all have used it on regular basis, if not on the day-to-day basis. Okay, so the judiciary branch would be able to use this kind of technology properly. This is the question that I want to share with you. To try to synthesize a little bit what's going on here in my country in Brazil. Well, the artificial intelligence and the program just is 4.0. It's already on course here in Brazil, I guess, in more than a decade from now. Okay, we have some very interesting solutions in technology on the judiciary branch here in Brazil, in courts in general here in Brazil. For you all to have some information about my country, if you don't know anything about it, Brazil is currently with 2 to 4 million people, inhabitants, okay? And we have approximately 100, I will say again, 100 million suits active on the all the courts here in Brazil. A great part of this is due the taxes and the state should go on to a judiciary branch to purchase taxes not paid. Okay, but yet it is a huge number, and our country and our judiciary would tries in the past years or decades tries to rely on solutions, on technological solutions to solve some of these particular problems, this particular great number of processes and suits currently open here and active here. Okay, and one of the solutions was to implement the digital suit. So I guess probably 98% of all the suits here in Brazil currently are in the digital format through PDF and other kinds of media, and there is no paper, thanks gosh, no paper anymore to so we can work from our computers. There is no need to go anymore to to, to solve some kind of situation in person, at least not in the paper sense. Even the hearings, the judicial hearings, the sessions are in a great number online through technological tools as MS Teams or whatever the tool that the judiciary would use. But I'm trying to say here, all the technology is evolving in a good matter, in a good sense, at least here in my country, probably due to the necessity of solving this great number of cases. And also, there is a great number of AI solutions here in Brazil in all the courts. And you would be not probably expecting there is some AI solutions here in Brazil. Yes, they are, and I'm not against it at all. For instance, we use AI solutions to try to establish um, some classifications in the particular cases that are being judged and try to take some, um, for instance, um, actions against banks, actions against, I don't know, social security, actions against consumers or involving consumers, class actions, mass actions. All these kinds of classifications can be done by an artificial intelligence tool in all the courts across Brazil. Also, we have here some very interesting AI tool that link connected detects payments for the access of AI for the access to the courts to the particular number of processes. Also, we have AI tools that provide some answers to the users and the sites of the courts. We have heavily lots of users of AI here in Brazil, but what we do not have yet, and going back to the main topic of our expedition, what we do not have yet is a AI tool, an AI tool that would decide for a judge. And once again, I am not against the use of technology, but I'm trying to put some yellow flags in this particular topic. Even I'm not against the semi supervisionized intervention of AI of an AI tool in the decision making. I'm not against at all, but a fully automatic decision making process provided by an AI tool would not probably be on our best interest, at least as far as I can see, and as far as anyone could explain me why not can this be used without putting aside some fundamental rights of our own. Okay, my friends, moving on the final parts of my exposition here, I would like to probably I'd like to probably share two thoughts about this particular use. The first thought that I'd like to particularly share with you for this fully automatic response of AI tool for the decisions in courts is when the user input something to a generative AI tool, even if the user put the same thing two, three, four times, the machine would answer it in different ways. And this, my friend, is also a huge problem. As I just mentioned, the generative artificial intelligence relies on a statistical tool. It's not a mathematical tool when every time 2 plus 2 equals 4. The statistical tools do not rely on this kind of uh, compatibility that mathematical tool is able to do. Okay, so if the user provides the same input 1, 2, 3, 4 times, probably the machine will provide us with a different answer. And when I mean provide us with a different answer, the thing is, if machine is reading, the machine is reading something and answered it differently, probably it will not be on the best case scenarios for the lawyers and the system in general who are relying on the judicial system. Okay? This is one huge problem that we have when we are talking about the potential use of generative artificial intelligence in courts. The second point that I'd like to share probably it's directly connected to the main topic that we begin to explain about the use of the principles in judge. Here, I guess in all the post-positivist countries, uh, the, the judge will rely highly, severely on the principles to decide, because the principles are on the top of the chain of law, the top of the pyramid of law. And this is very, very important. So we do not committed the same mistake that rely and apply a particular unethical, particularly inadequate law, an inhuman law, as I just mentioned, it was in the Nazi regime. Okay, probably those are the main 2 points that that the automatization of artificial intelligence tool, generative artificial intelligence tool, will be at least a yellow flag for us all. As I mentioned, some cases will be noticed for the use of artificial intelligence, generative artificial intelligence, and I mean especially chat GPT-3 or GPT 3.5, whatever, and here in Brazil, and another case in Colombia. The first case in Colombia, if not by my mistake, it was on April, March. I guess it was on the first semester of this year, and when a judge was relying on information provided by the chat to solve some particular cases involved with a kid with autism, the rights of the autism and the autistic kid, and the chat provided the judge some very important information about this, and the judge copy and paste this on its final decision. This is one particular case, but I guess that's not what I am here worried about. What I'm here worried about, as I just mentioned, is the surrogate of a judge, a human person judged by a machine. Okay. The second case happened this probably this week or the last week here in Brazil. A judge uh, stating that he was overloaded by his job, rely on the chat to do its sentence, to do its final decision in a particular case. And it came public. My friends, all the judicial courts probably just right now could see how this could be a preoccupation. I am stating here, I guess, the past year we have several international meetings and conferences organized some by me and others led by me about this particular topic. But finally, it came the day when it came public that a judge here in Brazil used the ChatGPT 3 in almost unsupervised way to provide a system, a sentence, a final decision. That's what I am um, trying to highlight here, my friend. That's some of our preoccupations. That's what I'm trying to share with you just right now. Once again, I am not totally against the potential use of technologies and even generative artificial intelligence to solve this kind of problem. But the way it is going on, it would be very, could be very aggressive, to say the least, for the fundamental rights. For this reason, my friends, in the past year, I am proposing here, at least in Brazil, I'm the head of this kind of political movement, to add some an amendment of our constitution to state in a way that is undoubtedly that the citizen, the, the, the all the persons who are relying on on the judiciary system would have the right to know, the word is to know that they are dealing or they want to have their cases decided by a human judge or a machine artificial intelligence judge. This is very, very important. And this kind of manifesto that we are trying to share here probably will be some of the major preoccupations in the next, perhaps 1, 2 years from now, because the technology became very, very much popular, and all the people who especially are not familiarized with the how it goes uh, does not understand the, some difficulties and some problems of this of its use. For instance, in the case of that judge here in Brazil that used AI, the chat GPT-3 to decide on that particular cases, that particular suit, that particular case, this judge, in the sentence provided by the ChatGPT-3, is with lots of inconsistencies, especially in the references the of the of past cases in which that particular judge would that particular decision would rely on. Okay, there are a lot of inconsistencies. Some past decisions quoted on that document were were not real, and we all know this. We all know that ChatGPT 3 usually uh, quote unquote lies on the text to provide a proper answer, because the ChatGPT 3 is not able to understand what is a lie, what is not a lie. ChatGPT 3 is able also only singularly to interpret a numerical value from the user and numerical value from its data set, and the answer will be provided by all means. And there is no way, please, for all to the ChatGPT understand that he is committing a mistake by doing it. He is interpreting that particular situation wrongly. Who needs to do this? Yet it's us human. So that's the reason why I am uh, in my way, in my view, with so many yellow flags considering this particular case scenarios. And that's the reason I believe that in the best of our interest is to, for us, the citizens who rely on the judicial system, to decide if we want or we want a judge person or we want to be judged by a machine. To end my my keynote here and thanking you all for your patience and once again for all the organizers of this magnificent event. My best regards and my salute here from Brazil. As you can see, I am in my classroom just right now with some of my students here, I guess, listening to my keynote here. And as I just mentioned, some of this automatic process of decision making are already in force in other sectors of the Brazilian state. For instance, social security is using generative artificial intelligence and artificial intelligence in general to solve some 1K cases of social security, to decide if someone should or should not be retired. And the press, the free press here in Brazil is stating that the artificial intelligence system that is applying all and deciding on the social security situations will solve easily and fast fast as it can get your demand for retirement. It will be solved in 5 or 6 minutes. But in 5 or 6 minutes, your retirement will be denied by the system due a very strict approach by this or calibration of this particular AI system. It is some humorous ways to understand this situation, but as you can understand, as you can see, um, it's already enforced on some sectors of Brazilian public sector. Another example of use of AI here in Brazil is into accountability of the state in our accountability courts. There are courts to judge the accountability of our rules from the executive branch, the president, governor, and mayor, etc. There are courts here who would be able to see their accountability and to see if everything is all right, okay, to the public standards, okay. There are some technological AI tools who are currently able to do this process also. And once again, I'm not against all this technology. I am against all the solutions that can make easier our life and can improve the capability of answer, responsive answer from the state. The state is very slow. The state is very heavily dependent on the bureaucratic process, and this turns things very slow. So an AI tool can provide indeed some insights with very accuracy. But I don't know if I am all in to surrogate a person to an AI tool without any supervision. That's, I guess, my final statement here. And once again, I like very much to say thank you and put myself at your disposal if you have some kind of doubt, questions, some kind of sharing that you want to do with me, and perhaps I can share some other insights with you. Okay?